I want to. I want.
Welcome to sort of not really Acoustic Thursday at Studio 51 at WNHH FM. We are blessed today to have some visitors in the studio who crammed a lot of gear and they made it fit and they made it work. The Focus Trio with Izzy Corona-Galan on guitar, Brendan Castor on drums, and Matthew Munzer on bass. That was great, guys. What was that song called?
That was Speak No Evil by the great Wayne Shorter.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so these guys are an area band. They met a few years. How many years ago at Western Connecticut State?
So probably Matt's freshman.
Yeah.
So 84 years. Wait,
4 years ago, probably.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And then you quickly decided you worked as a trio.
Yeah. So it's the good thing about playing sort of in a jazz group, where it's like you get to see your chemistry with other people and sort of just find what works.
What did you find out about the chemistry with you guys?
So I think, especially like the anticipation and communication with each other, I think,
Yeah. You need to be like willing to react. and,
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
get too focused.
Well, I always notice the unspoken part. So obviously the easy part, is this the easy part when people know whose turn it's going to be? Have a solo, you do a little
Yeah.
nod, you're
Yeah,
finishing
yeah,
up the bass solo, it's time for the drums.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
kind of watch. But what other kinds of chemistry is necessary to make a jazz trio work?
Well, you definitely have to like your friends. They definitely have to be friends
Yeah.
with the guys.
Mhm.
So I think that's a big part of why we work as a unit.
hmm
Matt's a great guy. I love to hang out with Matt whenever I get a chance. Israel, I see Israel at work now.
Yeah.
We both teach at the same place.
Where do you guys teach?
We teach at School of Rock in New Canaan together.
Mhm.
Oh, that's New Canaan. So they run New
Yeah.
Canaan and one in Madison.
Yeah.
And are you guys like Jack Black? Are you like kind of subversive a little
Yeah,
bit?
I actually played in not like the big production, but I've played the musical they did around that movie.
I love that
It's-
movie. That's
yeah.
like one of my favorite movies. Yeah.
Really, really cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, very classic.
I love the power
Yeah.
Very
dynamics
classic.
and the lyrics about the legend of the Red being
Yeah,
hardcore.
yeah.
So genius.
What
I love
about
it.
musically connected? What like jazz is a many faceted
Mhm.
music. Like, do you guys have the same kinds of jazz you like, or the same styles that can
Mm.
kind of people influence you?
So there's
Yeah.
that's definitely a thing where it's like you find people that sort of listen to the same influences as you do, but at the same time, stuff that you grew up with and sort of I grew up playing rock all the time, so even though we're playing jazz together, I try to always throw in some, probably like a riff or a lick that I would do in a rock setting, and that's sort of what gives it its own individual sort of group sound, as opposed to just the jazz thing.
Well, you do the jazz thing pretty heavy with the chords, the kind of complicated chords that go fast,
Yeah.
and then throwing in the licks in between. What part is rock? I didn't notice that.
So, I like, for instance, I like Eric Johnson. He does a
Mhm.
lot of like,
Oh, I see. So the fast run.
yeah,
down the
yeah.
neck.
So a lot of those faster runs are very.
But I
rock
do
influenced.
associate that with Kenny Burrell and the kind of certain kind of
Yeah.
jazz guitar play that's also, I guess that's why Hendrix was playing with Miles Davis.
Yeah, exactly. So I find it's always so interesting to see how not only those influences hit you, but also influenced each other around the time, right?
Because Brendan was talking about chemistry when you kind of like each other.
Mhm.
You're talking about, was there also a rock vibe that you three all shared? Is that kind of common for people your age who play
Well,
jazz?
For me, I grew up listening to a lot of almost like fusion jazz
Mhm.
and alternative rock, instrumental alternative rock. So some of it is like math rock, which is a
Mhm.
form of prog rock. That's something that I grew up listening to a lot of. So I had that same kind of influence. For me, it was that kind of rock was attractive to me because the drummers are like competing in the Olympics on all the recordings. It's like insane. So I find myself having that same influence in my playing outside of jazz. I don't separate the way that I play. When I play a bunch of different things, I don't separate my influences. I don't separate my licks. I know how to play different styles, but all of my influences are present when I'm playing. So I think that's something that Israel also has, and that's part of why we sound good when we play.
Matthew, what kind of influences did you have on the bass?
I mean, I definitely grew up more listening to rock too. Like that was kind of what my parents would listen to a lot. But but playing.
Don't tell me you have baby boomer parents and we make you listen to the same 10 years of music that we think define the whole
No,
world.
but I grew to love that stuff. And then as I got more into jazz, like, I don't know, there's a lot of like similarities between those things.
And are there
that you
different
would think.
approaches to jazz bass? Like, tell me if I'm wrong about this. When I hear you play solos, I'm hearing a lot of high up in the neck and very lyrical, kind of like tuneful playing. Is that true, or is that common?
Yeah.
As opposed
at
to
least
going
it's-
more of a percussive.
Yeah. I'd say, I guess if I'm soloing and I'm staying in the lower register, it's not as like obvious of a change in sound. Whereas like if I'm soloing, especially since the bass is pretty quiet, if I want to cut through everyone, it's a little easier if I go.
And I also
a bit
noticed that you
higher.
guys don't play loud. Is that also a conscious thing? I noticed I saw you guys play at Canny, did a great gig, and here too, and you didn't blow people away. You kind of like, is that like a thought, an intentional?
Yeah, so I think there's always sort of that thought of like playing the room
Mhm.
and seeing how much space physically and both with the people we're surrounded by we have. We don't want to like that time at the Cannon, right? We didn't have that much space and the room was very sort of reflective and everybody was into it, but we also didn't want people to think this is too loud, I'm not enjoying it anymore.
Yeah.
And then you also did kind of seg, I thought that night, into some more R&B inflected music. Am I wrong about that?
Yeah,
Tell me about that.
So we
Because a lot of jazz bands do, especially since my day, try to incorporate an R&B into the sound.
Yeah, it's funny because like a lot of the standards in from like what they call the Great American Songbook aren't really known nowadays, so they don't like have the impact they used to have. And having like backbeat music or sort of more groove oriented stuff that people relate to nowadays is very engaging.
So how much of that do you incorporate?
So I think definitely we've done some more straight ahead stuff lately,
Yeah.
like just straight up swing.
yeah.
But we like to play standards that
The groove.
yeah
Like
have a change in groove or
there's
What would be
a lot of the
examples of
time-
that? I'm sorry.
What's one we played? Oh man.
I mean we haven't played it in a while, but Adam's Apple is a great like
Yes, that's one.
we also
we did some of the Michael Brecker ones. What was it? Oh no, Pat Metheny.
oh
We
yeah
did- we did
yeah
Song for
Bright Size
Bilbao,
Life,
and
Song for
Bright Size
Bilbao.
Life. So those are a little bit more like groove oriented.
And did you grow up in Matheny when you talked about fusion? He was sort of like one of the
Yeah.
first
Actually,
there.
I found him when I was 17. So, how 8 years ago. So, not necessarily grew up, but I would say a lot of what formed me as a musician happened in college, and that's one of those things that I got into at about that time period.
And do you play? What's the ratio of originals to covers?
So right now, we just started adding originals. So mostly we play standards. I started writing some tunes, and I think because back to the sort of what works or what's the reason we're playing together. I think it's really cool to write for people, like having people in mind. And to me, it was kind of a goal to find a group and then started writing for that group. So we just started sort of.
I will admit that my favorite piece that night in your first set was one that you had written.
Oh yeah,
It had a
I
real
appreciate
groove.
that.
Yeah. Okay, so we're listening to Focus. Do you go by Israel or Izzy?
Either or.
Okay, Corona-Galan on guitar, Brendan Castor on drums, and Matthew Munsner on bass. What song do you have for us next?
We doing
Sharon.
Sharon. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the
We're
same
doing the one.
You like that time?
Yeah,
Is it an original? What's it called?
yeah. Sharon.
Sharon. Okay. On WNHH FM. That was Sharon by Focus here on Almost But Not Always Acoustic Thursday, Studio 51 and WNHH FM. That's Israel Corona-Galan on guitar, Brennan Castor on drums, and Matthew Munzer on bass. Izzy, you said you wrote that piece.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it called Sharon?
Oh, that's a kind of a silly story. So I'm very into gear, like buying guitars and playing all kinds of stuff. So I wrote that in one of my guitars that I have that's made in Korea, and while I was researching it, I came across the fact that the national plant is the Rose of the Sharon, and I thought that was just a really pretty image.
Of South Korea.
Yeah, South Korea. And I just thought that was a really pretty image. So
And did you write it on that guitar?
I did, yeah.
What kind of guitar was it?
So it's like a 335, like almost Chuck Berry type looking guitar, and I guess that's sort of why it's more rockish, sort of less, swingy. Than it's more groove oriented, and it's one of the stuff we were talking about.
And so you told me that this guitar you rebuilt because it looked like kind of a classic Fender.
Oh, this one, yeah. It's so yeah, that's something I love to do. I bought all the parts and just putting things together and
like what was it originally? Was it a broken Fender or something?
No, it was just there's this company called Warmouth, and they sell just the parts.
So you built that guitar?
Yeah. So I purchased everything and just it's gone through a lot of different iterations, but
So it was just the body that was the Fender, and then you got a different neck on it?
both of them are from
Different Fender
Warmouth.
guitars.
Yeah. So
And how did you get able to build guitars?
so I'm from Mexico, and I lived there for a long time.
You were born in Mexico?
Yeah. So I've been playing guitar since I was a kid, and just getting it to a repairman there is so complicated. There's not a lot of like technicians there, so I started sort of searching how to do it myself. And the more I found out
How old
about
were you?
it, I was probably like 8.
At 8 years old, you started playing guitar. You're already playing
I was already playing.
Like
I
what age
started
then?
around like 5.
and playing rock.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
And then you researched how to build it because it was such a pain to get to the repair.
yeah. So it'd be like probably an hour and a half journey just to go to the repairman, and then he'd keep it for like a week, and it was my only one. So
how did you learn? YouTube or?
yeah. You know how everybody learns everything now. Just type that on Google, like, how do I change this?
That's cool. So do you do this as a sideline? Are you ever going to go into making money?
I've thought about it. I've done it for friends before. Generally, I enjoy doing it. So
And now you're building your own tunes to mix in.
yeah.
And did you say the reason for that is that you like to write, or that you like to add stuff that you think will be more accessible to modern audiences? Or what was the reason for writing?
So, actually, I think big part of it was one, getting a group together. I find that a lot of people nowadays sort of tend to go at it like solo, and I sort of miss when people had bands like Van Halen or like Alcatraz or really great stuff where people just fit together. So I love that idea of writing for a band.
And you wrote this for the band.
Yeah.
What were you thinking? How'd that affect what you write?
So
Because don't you mostly get the theme and variation and have Matt and Brendan do their own thing, or did you have something in mind for them?
So it's funny, this song I have on an EP on Spotify, and I recorded it actually with a different drummer and a different bassist. They're both doing their own thing right now, and the way we were playing in a group together for a little bit, and when I wrote it, I sort of the drummer that I was playing with tended to always change the groove of things into like that sort of straight eighths feel. So I figured I would write something that's in straight eighths. And the bass player at the time, his name is Chris Arnone, wrote the bass line to the melody that I had written for the drummer.
Okay.
So it's kind
I
of
was playing that.
yeah. So that's the part that
So you wrote a straight eighths with a certain drummer in mind.
yeah. And then the bassist added his own part, and sort of that's what I find very appealing, because
Is it
I
almost
wouldn't-
a funk part with the bass, or no?
It kind of is. It's funny because it was written on upright bass.
Oh, okay. Oh, that didn't sound upright bass to me.
Yeah. So it's funny because Matt almost always plays upright,
Oh,
or
okay.
at least when we play our jazz stuff.
And what's the difference in upright when you play? How does that change how you play?
I think, I'm personally a little more comfortable on the upright. That's what I've definitely spent more time on. I think with the upright, it's a difficult instrument in the sense that, like, there's no frets.
Mm-hmm.
So your intonation has to be very on point, but also, I don't know, when I'm playing it on the upright, once you've played it enough, you can kind of like get into a sort of groove or zone that I don't know if I can necessarily do on electric as easily. Because with electric, it's more visual to me. I'm like looking at where.
And when you're not looking, does that help you more melt into the music?
Yeah,
and
like
relate
with the
to
upright,
instrument?
I have to, after playing it for so long, I have to know where everything is. But I'm not really looking at the bass anymore because I'm used to it.
That makes me think about the way people write and read music too. Like, Paul McCartney never read music.
Mhm.
Does it affect how you write and play when you're freed from frets, freed from looking, think about the notes,
I love to memorize things over having to read it because, especially in a group like this, you can communicate way more easily.
Yeah.
It's hard when even if it's a difficult song, so I'll try to memorize it because it's hard when you have to keep constantly checking the page for things, and then you're.
For some groups you watch now, they have their iPhones out, their iPads, and they kind of have the words and that seems kind of weird.
Well, I find, and it's like both a physical thing. It's like you have to, like Matt said, you have to get comfortable enough to not think about I'm playing guitar right now.
Yeah.
And so you can just concentrate on the music.
And so how much do you guys play out, and do you record as a trio?
We haven't recorded yet.
Yeah,
but
well, there's some recordings.
Yeah, I did some recordings for school. If you would like to check it out, it's called Focus. But the artist is just me.
Mm-hmm. Well, where's the trio going? Like, how often do you guys play out?
Oh, whenever we can, probably. I mean, Matt's still in school, and Brendan and I sort of have tied like teaching schedules. But we're trying to get more gigs, especially maybe around the Fairfield County area. Where
have you played New Haven besides Cannon?
I think Cannon's the only place I've played there.
And you come back there?
Hopefully, yeah. I would love to.
I played in New Haven. I played at Cannon, Stella Blues, and Cafe 9, I think.
Stella Blues, they had jazz?
It was the fusion group that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so do you think you're ready to play? You still need to get a little more tape on your drum there.
Yeah, I don't know. The snare wires kind of gave out.
All right, well, we gave you a little packing tape to try to...
Realize
I think you guys are doing great the way you came in here and got your instruments set up in our tight spot. You're listening to Often Acoustic Thursday on Studio 51 at WNHH FM. We got Focus with Israel Corona-Galan, Brendan Castro, and Matthew Munzer. You got another song for us?
Yeah.
What's this one going to be?
This is another original. It's called Flower of May.
Flower of May.
Yeah.
So you're into botany.
I like flowers.
Roses shower and the flower of May.
Yeah.
All right. Here on WNHH, hit it.
Is that good?
Yeah.
A one, two, three. Nice.
That was Focus Trio here on WNHH FM. Boy, you guys are great. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
It's great to be here.
2 last questions for you guys. So you grew up playing rock for the most part. How do you in your 20s come out being a jazz band? Why be a jazz band today?
I think for me, a lot of it was high school. Just, they don't really play or teach, I guess, contemporary music in like early education. So if I wanted to play guitar, I had to join the jazz band.
And then it stuck.
Yeah. So it's a.
And where was that?
So I went to high school here in Fairfield, right next to Bridgeport. So yeah, I started in the they call it jazz lab, which is not quite jazz band. And then I joined the jazz band. Then I joined like the contemporary
stuck.
choir. Yeah.
Was there anyone in particular who inspired you?
Definitely my band teacher Nick Albano.
Any kind of music, any jazz?
For that, I think definitely.
Like what spoke to you as a kid?
I remember playing this Quincy Jones arrangement. I did trombone too for band, and I just remember the part writing of it was so interesting. It was from this album Basie and Beyond.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a Quincy Jones song, but I'm not sure.
And then Matthew and Brendan, how do you in your 20s find yourself doing jazz instead of rock?
Well, it's fun.
Is it something about complexity of rhythm
it.
for you? I mean, I know you really have complex rhythms when you're playing. Is it something about rhythm or no?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely that tickles my brain. Even when I was like primarily a rock drummer, I was playing styles that were a bit more complicated. I enjoy I don't know, playing all those fun rhythms fast, and it's a challenge, and it's part of it just tickles my brain to be able to do that well.
And Matthew, how about you?
I would say also I got into jazz I guess I started playing it in like middle school because school and stuff, and I didn't really listen to it before that because I don't know, when I would try to, it sounded kind of like dated to me almost. But like as I like listen to it more, you just find things that you really love about it. Like what got me really into it was when I discovered like Horace Silver and like Art Blakey. Like that music is super rhythmic and like catchy, but also some of the most virtuosic like stuff. So it has like, for me, that's like everything that you could do well in a song. Like it's catchy, but it also is just, they have such like masterful ability of their instruments.
Well, okay, so and how do people find out more so if they want to see you play or hear your stuff?
Definitely. I mean, we have our individual social media. I don't think we have a band page.
We have Instagram for each of you.
Yeah. So you can
So
follow
follow you guys
me.
on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And do you put info when you're going to play?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I always do a
I make
post.
posters.
All right, so we'll keep an eye out for those posters.
Yeah,
I recommend Focus, Israel Corona-Galan, Brendan Castro, Matthew Nunsner. Thank you so much for joining us on WNHA.